After stealing a time machine, two turkeys embark on a journey through different timelines to save their race in an insane battle against the humans of the past. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Free Birds, from 2013. Ever since he was little, the turkey Reggie thinks that the other turkeys are innocent and stupid, because they believe that the world is made of corn and that they go to turkey heaven every time the farmer takes one away. That's why he has trouble socializing with others and leading a normal life. At one point, Reggie sees a Christmas dinner on the farm where he lives and panics. He immediately runs to warn the other turkeys that they are in danger, as they are being fattened up to become a meal, but ends up being ignored by everyone. While they were trying to sleep, a bright light and helicopter noises woke up everyone on the farm. The turkeys are frightened by the possibility of being turned into food. Trying to maintain control, Reggie tells them what to do, but the other animals revolt and throw him out of the barn to be turned into food instead. However, it is a child who is outside. She picks Reggie up and takes him to the center of the farm, where several people, cars and cameras are pointed at the president, who says he's only going to save one turkey this year. The child who caught Reggie is the president's daughter. She throws a tantrum to get her father to choose him as the turkey that will be spared. The president can't resist his daughter's blackmail and does as she asks, presenting Reggie to the cameras as the one who will be saved from Christmas dinner. The child quickly loads the turkey into the presidential helicopter and heads straight to her father's residence. There, Reggie begins to live the life of a king, watching television and eating pizza all day. After a while, Reggie is quietly going about his routine when he is captured by a mysterious figure. In the middle of the forest, the creature reveals itself as another turkey called Jake, who claims to be part of the TLF, the Army for the Turkey Liberation Front. Still frightened, Reggie tries to run back home, but is stopped by Jake, who carries him back into the forest. Jake reveals that he knows Reggie's name because he received a special mission from the Great Peru, who appeared in the skies one day telling him to meet Reggie. Jake also shows that he has received a special item, the sacred knob of time. When they arrive at a base in the forest, Jake reveals that his mission is to go back in time and take all the turkeys off the party menu. He says that inside the base there is a time machine that will help with the plan. Once again, Reggie is dragged away by Jake. The two arrive at a dark shed. Jake begins to perform procedures that seem to be to start a time machine. Suspicious, Reggie turns on the light in the shed and realizes that the turkey was only riding in a wheelbarrow. Immediately Reggie begins to ridicule his companion, laughing at the situation and making jokes about this time travel story. Meanwhile, Jake is incredulous, as he really believed there was a secret base there. While the turkey continues to make jokes, he accidentally hits an item in the room that activates a secret entrance. The whole shed begins to change, transforming into something technological. The two turkeys fall into what seems to be the secret base they were looking for. Following the map they saw in one of the rooms, they find the location of the time machine, which is heavily guarded by security guards in yellow clothes. As soon as he sees them, Reggie tries to talk to them, thinking he's important for having been spared Christmas dinner, but he almost ends up eliminated when they shoot him with a flamethrower. He is saved at the last moment by Jake, who pulls him out of the line of fire. The president also arrives at the base where the turkeys are. He goes to a control room with the general and carries out a mission linked to time travel. Meanwhile, the turkeys continue to explore the place until they come across the security guards again. This time, Jake has the idea of distracting them with a metal thread. He takes careful aim at the fire alarm and throws the object. However, it bounces off the heads of some guards and goes out of control, hitting Reggie in the eye, who starts screaming and attracts attention. All the site's security, equipped with flamethrowers, rush after the turkeys. Trying to escape, the two birds cross the complex and arrive at the site of the time machine. The contraption looks like an egg and is being activated for the test. Several rays of energy pass through the catwalk, almost hitting the turkeys, but they manage to reach the machine safely. The time traveler, who was sitting in it, runs away frightened by the guards' confusion. Jake quickly sits down in the chair and activates the machine. Everyone in the control room begins to float, as do their objects. Lightning danced through the room as a kind of black hole opened up. The president and the general watched the scene in disbelief. As quickly as it started, the storm disappeared and the whole room returned to silence. The machine and the turkeys are gone too. Inside the time machine, Jake and Reggie are introduced to the space-time exploration vehicle Envoy navigation system, called Steve. Jake orders Steve to take them to the moment in history before the turkeys start being served for supper. As they travel through time and space, Reggie undergoes various mutations, such as aging and evolutionary regression, even turning into a dinosaur. The machine takes the pair back to the year 1621, 3 days before the first turkey was served at a dinner party. After landing in the forest, Jake stretches, while Reggie tries to get back into the Steve. However, the machine activates stealth mode and shuts down to recharge. Reggie complains to Jake about the place being dangerous. The two argue until a shot hits the tree next to them. In the distance, 3 dogs run towards them and the turkeys flee in desperation. Captain Miles, on his horse, is hunting them down. The man shoots with his gun, but ends up missing. Even so, Reggie is surrounded by the dogs and the man in black points his gun at the turkey. Just as he's about to fire, a pine cone hits his gun and Reggie disappears. He was saved by Jenny, Ranger and other turkeys who were hiding in a tree. Down below, the hunter and his companions search for them, while Jake also appears in the tree safe and sound. Ranger is furious that the time-traveling turkeys have disrupted the group's plan to take the hunters away from their home. However, his fury is interrupted when the men begin to return. All the turkeys jump through the trees masterfully to escape, but Reggie doesn't have the slightest coordination. Jenny has to help him along the way so he doesn't fall. Afterwards, the turkeys try to escape through the high bush, but the men chasing them shoot and throw dynamite in an attempt to capture them. Then Amos and Furley, 2 of the turkeys in the group, are captured by the humans. Miles rides hatefully after the remaining turkeys, but they hide in the gaps of a stone wall and the human returns empty-handed. Inside the hideout, the group decides whether to help the captured or return home. Furiously, Jake argues with Ranger, wanting to save the 2 turkeys. During the argument, the 2 of them inflame each other's chests and exchange punches, but Jenny stops the confusion and makes the group go home. In the human settlement, the people revolt against Governor Bradford, demanding the food that is stored. The governor says that the food is for the Indians, explaining that they need help from the natives to survive. The man then asks the people to wait 3 days. The commotion is interrupted when an elderly man perishes of starvation in front of the people, who again turn against the governor. Before they can do anything, Captain Miles arrives in town. The governor immediately seizes the opportunity to take advantage, but the 2 turkeys aren't enough to quell the people's anger. Miles then shows his motivation and hatred to bring more turkeys to the city. Returning to the turkeys' hideout, Jenny and Reggie talk while Ranger and Jake argue at the entrance. The birds have taken up residence underground under a large tree. The place is full of turkeys working and doing their chores. As soon as he arrives, Jake takes to the stage and begins to talk about his journey with the time machine and his mission to end the tradition of turkey supper. The population doesn't seem to understand what he's saying at all. Suddenly, Chief Broadbeak, the leader of the gang, and his elderly advisor, Leatherback, appear. Jenny introduces the newcomers and reveals herself as the leader's daughter. Chief Broadbeak says that the turkeys used to live free in the forests, but when the settlers appeared, they had to hide underground. While Jake tries to argue about the need to fight, the leader shows them the local nursery, saying that the future of the turkeys lies in the next generations. In the human city, Furley and Amos think of some way to escape, but they can't come up with a plan. Next door, Miles interrupts the gossip of some of his henchmen and hatches a plan to capture the turkeys. He realizes that the birds were trying to distract the hunters from the real location of their home. The next day, Chief Broadbeak and Leatherback distribute the tasks to the gang. Reggie and Jenny are in charge of disarming the human traps, while Jake and Ranger must guard the hideout. Sometime later, Reggie and Jenny are hiding in a tree when they see Miles and his henchmen planting the traps in the forest. Completely clumsy, Reggie disarms all the traps by tripping and slipping on a tree branch. Still in the forest, Reggie and Jenny run into other traps. The clumsy turkey almost gets caught in one of them, but his friend saves him once again. They almost have a romantic moment, but are interrupted by Miles's dogs. Before they are caught, Reggie recognizes the tree destroyed by Miles' shot when he arrived with Steve. He takes Jenny through the forest and finds the time machine. Before Miles could take the last shot at the 2 of them, Steve calls and they fly off the Earth. In space, Jenny realizes that Reggie was telling the truth about being a time traveler. When Reggie starts bragging, Steve shows him videos of the time travel in which he screams and cries. Embarrassed, the turkey asks the machine to return to Earth. Back on the ground, Steve says he's recharged and ready to take Reggie back to his time, but the turkey thinks for a while and decides to stay in the era he's in. Meanwhile, Jake and Ranger find the human city. The men are preparing a lot of gunpowder and Ranger suggests that they return to warn Chief Broadbeak. When he takes care of himself, the turkey realizes that Jake has disappeared. In the forest, Reggie tries to convince Jenny to go back to the future with him. She likes the idea, but says she has responsibilities to the gang and their safety. While trying to convince Jenny, Reggie is once again captured by Jake. As soon as he stops running, the turkey explains to Reggie that supper is coming and that the great turkey wants the 2 of them to attack the human city. Reggie again mocks the story of the great turkey, but Jake gets annoyed and tells him a little about the place where he grew up. Unlike Reggie, Jake grew up in a cage in a factory where turkeys were fattened up with additive feed. With the help of his mother, Jake as a child tried to escape and take some eggs with him, but he just managed to get out of the factory on his own. Disillusioned, the little one wandered down the street until he came across the shining figure of the Great Peru. The mysterious guide gave Jake the golden handle and encouraged him never to give up. After hearing everything, Reggie still thinks it's a bad idea to attack the humans' fortified city, but Jake says he has a plan to destroy the hunters' weapons and end the feast. Soon, Reggie realizes that the idea is a good one and would make Jenny go back to the future with him. The two make their way through the night to the human village. Still wondering how to get in, Reggie is thrown over the wall by Jake. He runs into Miles' dogs and is chased through the town. Cornered by the dogs, when all seemed lost, Reggie pulls out the remote control from his old TV. The remote control's red laser distracts the animals and he manages to open the door for Jake, as well as locking the animals in a shed. Shortly afterwards, the two find the gunpowder and hatch a plan to blow up the humans' weapons. Reggie sets up the barrel with the gunpowder inside the armory full of weapons, while Jake goes to the hunter's wagon. There, he finds Captain Miles and the two turkeys who have been captured. With speed and care, Jake sets the wick to the barrel and steals the villain's powder horn to prove his feat to the flock of turkeys. On the way out, he frees Furley and Amos from captivity. They meet Reggie at the top of the hill and light the wick he has set up, which burns quickly, with the dogs still trying to put out the fire. The first explosion destroys the armory and its armaments, but just before the second one eliminates Miles for good, the mustachioed man throws the barrel away from his cart. Unaware of the villain's plight, the turkeys celebrate their successful plan and leave. As they flee, Jake, without realizing it, leaves a trail of gunpowder that falls from the horn he stole. Back home, the two turkeys boast about their deeds. Jake shows off the stolen horn and everyone cheers at the victory the turkeys have won. In the human village, the governor is distraught by the fire caused by the explosion. He meets Miles and asks if it could have been the Indians who caused the mess. The mustachioed man then says that it was indeed the turkeys and that they have magical powers. Clearly, Captain Miles' words make the other humans suspicious. While the governor mocks Miles, the villain notices the trail of gunpowder that Jake has left, lights it with a match and begins to follow the trail to the turkeys' hideout. Away from the celebration, Reggie finds Jenny. He again tries to convince her to go to the future with him, but before she can respond, they see the trail of gunpowder burning towards their home. Immediately, the two of them desperately follow the trail and bump into Jake, who is celebrating with all the other turkeys. Suddenly, Miles and his hunters start attacking the hideout. The turkeys are desperate to escape, but Broad Beak leads them in an evacuation plan. The plan goes wrong when the turkeys that manage to get out run into the humans on the prowl and most of them end up trapped in cages. The dogs are released and run into the hideout after the remaining turkeys. At the top of the hill above the hideout, Miles sets fire to the tree that gives access to the place. Now the turkeys are being chased by the dogs as they try to escape the flames. Meanwhile, Reggie and Jenny try to escape, but end up returning to save the chicks from the nursery. However, a burning log falls in the way and blocks them. However, to the pair's surprise, Jake jumps over the fire and appears with all the chicks safe. Racing against time, the turkeys escape through a secret passage in the floor of the hideout, led by Chief Broadbeak. When the dogs and the flames approach, Jake, Reggie, Jenny and the chicks appear. Seeing the scene, Chief Broadbeak holds up a burning log that has fallen, to make way for the others, but ends up falling behind and can't resist the weight of the wood on his shoulders. Jenny tries to save her father, but he accepts his fate and assures her that he will always be with her. Quickly, Reggie holds her and jumps to escape through the hole in the river. Outside the hideout, the escaped turkeys see their home burning down and their friends being taken prisoner. The next day, a symbolic ceremony is held in memory of Chief Broadbeak. Ranger places his wooden hat on an altar surrounded by feathers, and all the turkeys flap their wings, causing the feathers and hat to rise into the sky. With the death of Chief Broadbeak, Ranger and Jenny are next in line. They test their necklaces to see which is compatible with the half that Chief Broadbeak had. Surprised, Jenny discovers that it is her part that completes the necklace, making her the new leader of the flock. In her first speech, Jenny inspires the turkeys to fight, attack the human village and recover their imprisoned friends, which makes everyone excited about the idea. Meanwhile, Reggie, disappointed by recent events, decides to go back to the future using Steve. Jake tries to stop him, citing the Great Peru, but Reggie no longer believes the story and leaves on his own. After time traveling, the turkey returns to the president's house. When he opens the door, he sees an unbelievable figure, himself. Reggie is startled at the sight and closes the door. With the force of his grip on the handle, he ends up pulling it off. It's at this point that the other Reggie says that he's breaking the rules of time and putting the universe at risk just to say that he's insane and should go back to the past. While the two Reggies are talking, a third comes out of a bush and warns them that Jenny is going to attack the humans even if she can't. Curious, the original Reggie looks at the doorknob and realizes that he has to go after the Great Turkey while formulating a plan. However, preventing him from thinking, Steve shouts out what Reggie himself didn't realize. He was the Great Turkey himself from the start. As soon as they understand, the three Reggies get excited, but are interrupted by another one who appears from the bush. But this one just came to enjoy the whole idea a bit. After the fun, the original Reggie returns to Steve and follows the plan to hand over the mission to young Jake and return to the past to save his friends. Back in 1621, Ranger finally recognizes Jake as a warrior and gives him a spear to face the fight to come. Jenny asks about Reggie, but Jake reacts negatively. Reggie then uses Steve to find Jake as a child and gives him all the coordinates that will make the two eventually meet, as well as leaving him the doorknob he took from the president's door, claiming that it would be the golden doorknob that would protect Jake from all danger. In Jenny's time, the turkey flock goes on the warpath against the humans. Carrying spears, the birds advanced against the walls, but Miles and his hunters were already preparing cannons to counterattack. All the cannons fire at the same time and it would be the end of the turkeys, if it weren't for Reggie with Steve, who uses the machine to stop all the bullets and take all the cannons into the sky in a great storm. But Miles doesn't give up and climbs onto one of the cannons to try to attack the turkeys once again. But when the shot is fired, the gun points at the ground. The shot destroys his wagon and throws the villain into the center of the storm, disappearing for good. After the victory, Steve lands and Reggie comes out triumphant with a pizza box in his hand. It is at this moment that Jake realizes that he was the Great Turkey all along. With confidence, Reggie distributes pizza to the humans, and even brings the pizza delivery man from the future with several boxes of the snack. Now fed, the humans free the imprisoned turkeys. Humans and turkeys eat the pizzas with joy and the governor decides to proclaim that day Thanksgiving Day. In the future, people ate pizza instead of turkey on holidays. Finally, Reggie decides to stay with Jenny and the flock of turkeys in the past, now that humans are no longer a threat, but Jake decides to use Steve and leave for some unknown time. Before leaving, he says goodbye to Reggie and all the friends he made in the past. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.